Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next hour. Amidst ongoing tensions on the Korean peninsula, North Korea fires multiple cruise missiles towards the sea off its west coast. UNGA President Dennis Francis on a 5-day visit to India to hold talks with External Affairs Minister S. Shankar on critical multilateral issues. In Australian Open, Daniil Medvedev and Diana Yastremska book semi-final spots. Oscars 2024 nominations announced. Oppenheimer leads with 13 nods. North Korea fired multiple cruise missiles towards the sea off its west coast on Wednesday, in the latest sign of heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula. The launches were being analyzed by South Korean and US intelligence. The latest firing of missiles by Pyongyang comes as the South Korean Navy Special Warfare Unit was taking part in training along the east coast in Gangwon province, bordering the north, for about 10 days. The North state media also said last week the country conducted tests of its nuclear-capable underwater attack drones in a protest against joint military drills by South Korea, United States and Japan. And South Korea's Defense Minister Shin Won-sik condemned the launches as a serious threat to his country. Shin also warned that North Korean leader's regime would face its demise if it started a war. In a statement, South Korea Joint Chief of Staff did not specify how many missiles were fired, but said further activities by nuclear-armed North were being monitored. Though UN Security Council sanctions targeting the North's weapons development do not bar testing of conventionally armed cruise missiles, the training was aimed at strengthening operational readiness following North Korea's recent artillery firing near a disputed maritime border and weapons test. And DT India correspondent Patrick Falk joins us live from Singapore. Patrick, what is the latest on the missile launches by North Korea? And as these launches become increasingly routine, what is North seeking to provoke or achieve?
Well, North Korea didn't say specifically what these latest launches were all about, whether or not it was just the latest bit of chest thumping or whether or not it was any sort of significant test. As you noted, South Korea didn't provide many details, not even the number of missiles that were launched, but we do know that these were cruise missiles, and the Yonhap news agency also reported that they appeared to be longer in range and possibly capable of carrying a tactical nuclear warhead. And that is perhaps significant because North Korea also fired a ballistic missile earlier this month on the 14th of January. Ballistic missiles travel at supersonic speeds in a sort of arc trajectory, and they are unpowered on descent. So whereas cruise missiles travel at subsonic speeds, they fly at a lower altitude and are maneuverable and therefore harder to detect. So this could have been a test or a demonstration of North Korea's capabilities. And of course, we know that Pyongyang has been trying to develop an arsenal, possibly to use against South Korea. So that is possibly significant. And it's almost certainly the latest in a series of aggressive responses in response to joint drills between the US, South Korea and Japan.
And amidst these missile tests, South Korea is continuing with military naval exercises with its allies. What kind of preparedness is being maintained by them?
Yeah, well, look, on top of that, there is closer coordination with its allies, the US and Japan. And if you remember, in December, the three countries said that they would share real-time data on North Korean missile launches. So that's all part of that. But, you know, the thing to worry about really is there are indications that these sorts of tensions could escalate in the coming weeks, particularly in the run-up to South Korean parliamentary elections. There may be an attempt by North Korea to pressure Yoon Suk-yeol and his conservative government, which has taken a hard line against Pyongyang. And if you remember, just a day ago, there were reports saying that a monument which symbolized hope for reunification was apparently demolished by North Korea. So as I say, you know, this is an angry response from North Korea, and we could see more of this sort of reaction in the coming days and weeks ahead.
Patrick Falk, thank you for those updates. And Donald Trump cruised to victory in the New Hampshire Republican presidential contest on Tuesday, defeating his only remaining rival, Nikki Haley. Trump won 54% of the votes, while Nikki Haley grabbed 44%. After Iowa, Trump has marched closer to the November rematch. However, Haley is not yet ready to concede. She had finished third in the Iowa primary. Economy, immigration, fentanyl crisis are some of the top concerns of voters in the elections this year. Delivering remarks from Concord soon after voting, she said the race is far from over.
New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go. And now we're the last one standing next to Donald Trump. And today we got close to half of the vote. We still have a ways to go, but we keep moving up.
While at his own party in Nashua, Donald Trump opened his speech by mocking Haley, saying she made the speech like she won.
You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now, three. We win it every time. We win the primary, we win the generals, we've won it. And just a little note to Nikki, she's not going to win.
And DD India correspondent Nick Harper gets us the latest from New Hampshire.
Well, another decisive victory for the former President Donald Trump just a week after his big win in Iowa. It shows that he is the dominant force within the Republican Party, something that has been known for many years, but now really putting him in a position of being the presumptive nominee to clinch that nomination for the Republican Party. However, tonight has not been the knockout blow that he was hoping for, because one challenger still remains in the ring, and that is the former UN ambassador, Nikki Haley, who, despite coming second tonight, says that she is not dropping out of the race. Now, she has poured a lot of time, money, effort into New Hampshire. She really hoped that the independent, moderate voters in the state would give her a victory. That was not to be, but she says she will continue all the way to the next big contest in South Carolina in just over a month's time, a state where she was once the state's governor. However, Donald Trump is urging her to drop out, saying that the party should unite around him without the distraction of other candidates. She was hoping to prove that she could be a viable alternative to Donald Trump. She still thinks that's possible, but these 2 state contests, Iowa and New Hampshire, have so far shown that Republican voters do not want an alternative. They want the man himself. They want Donald Trump to be the nominee and hopefully in the White House again in the future. For the Democratic side, there was not an official primary here in New Hampshire. That's because the organising committee for the Democratic Party had ruled that South Carolina would be the first primary for the Democrats in a few weeks' time. New Hampshire broke those rules and decided to hold a primary anyway. Joe Biden said that he would not be running in this state, that his name would not be included on the ballot. However, a grassroots campaign meant that many of his supporters wrote his name onto the ballot paper, giving him a victory, showing that he still has strength within the party after several months of complaints from within the party about his handling of certain high-profile situations like the war between Israel and Hamas and his handling of the economy. So a victory for Joe Biden, even though it's not one that will be counted. Nick Harper in Manchester, New Hampshire, reporting for DD India.
Meanwhile, the trial of American journalist and author E. Jean Carroll's ongoing defamation lawsuit against former U.S. President Donald Trump will resume on Thursday. On Monday, U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan delayed the trial until Wednesday after a juror and one of the Trump's lawyers reported illnesses. A jury last year in the same courtroom already found Trump liable for sexually abusing Carroll and defaming her by calling her a liar, as she alleged. The ongoing trial concerns additional defamation damages for two statements by Donald Trump made in 2019, disparaging Carroll by calling her dishonest and insulting her appearance. Moving on, Turkey's parliament approved Sweden's NATO membership bid on Tuesday. Following more than 4 hours of debate, lawmakers voted 287 in favour, 55 against, clearing a last major hurdle to expand the Western military alliance after 20 months of delay. Erdogan will sign the bill into law, likely in the coming days. Hungary remains the only NATO member yet to ratify Stockholm's accession. President Tayyip Erdogan's ruling AK party, its nationalist MHP allies, and main opposition CHP voted in favour of the bid in the General Assembly, while opposition nationalist, Islamist and leftist parties voted against it. Time for a short break. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Israel says it will not agree to a ceasefire deal with Hamas. Moldovan Foreign Minister Nico Popescu resigns after bringing his country closer to the European Union. A treehouse classroom in the Amazon rainforest is educating adults about logging and mining.
That never stops, where information shapes our reality. One app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. The Israel government spokesperson Elon Levy has said that Israel will not agree to a ceasefire deal with Hamas.
This war, as laid out by the War Cabinet after the October 7th massacre and handed down to the IDF, remain unchanged. The destruction of Hamas's governing and military capabilities in the Gaza Strip and the return of all the hostages. There will be no ceasefire that leaves the hostages in Gaza and Hamas in power. Beyond that, we have nothing to elaborate.
And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said on Tuesday that Israel would push on with its fighting in Gaza until, he says, absolute victory, despite suffering one of its toughest days of the military offensive. He said military was investigating the tragedy in which 21 soldiers were killed when buildings exploded in central Gaza, bringing the single-day Israeli death toll to 24. And United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has appealed for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The UN chief said humanitarian situation was appalling and that the people of Gaza not only risk being killed or injured by relentless bombardments, they also run a chance of growing and contracting infectious diseases like hepatitis A, dysentery, and cholera. The US military carried out more strikes in Yemen on Wednesday. The strikes destroyed 2 Houthi anti-ship missiles that were aimed at Red Sea and were preparing to launch. The recent strikes follow a larger round of strikes carried out by 24 countries on Monday against 8 targets. The strikes were carried out with the support of 24 countries, including Australia, Germany, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, were designed to disrupt and degrade the capability of the Houthis to continue with their attacks. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said that initial evidence from Monday's strikes shows all intended targets were destroyed. And the Pentagon also said that over 25 Houthi missile launch facilities and more than 20 missiles in Yemen have also been destroyed so far. UN Secretary General has urged countries to avoid escalation in the situation in the Red Sea, where Houthis in Yemen have been attacking commercial vessels amid the ongoing conflict in Gaza. The Secretary General said in a statement, and I quote, "The situation in Red Sea is also deeply worrying. Houthi attacks are disrupting global trade. Those have been followed by airstrikes by United States, United Kingdom on Houthi positions in Yemen. De-escalation is essential, and all attacks on merchant and commercial vessels in the Red Sea must cease immediately." UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres welcomed foreign ministers attending the meeting of United Nations Security Council at UN headquarters in New York. The UNSC met on January 23rd to discuss the situation in the Middle East. The meeting was majorly focused on Israel-Hamas conflict. US Middle East envoy Brett McGurk to travel in the region for active discussions on ensuring the release of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza and securing a humanitarian pause. White House spokesperson John Kirby has said United States would support a longer humanitarian pause in combat in Gaza to ensure hostages could be released and aid brought in. British Foreign Secretary David Cameron will travel to Israel on Wednesday, where he is expected to raise concerns over Israel and Gaza conflict. Cameron's trip, which will include visits to the West Bank and to Qatar and Turkey, is his third to the Middle East in just over 2 months. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Tuesday pledged $45 million in additional financing to help fight conflict and bring stability to coastal West Africa, where insecurity linked to insurgencies has increased in recent years. Blinken is on a second stop of 4-nation tour of Africa, taking him to Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, Nigeria and Angola from January 21st to 26th. The purpose of the trip is to discuss US-African partnerships over trade, climate, infrastructure, health, security and other issues. It follows a summit in Washington with African leaders last year in December. The US Secretary of State Blinken was in Ivory Coast's commercial capital, Abidjan, on Tuesday to meet the President Alassane Ouattara. Ivory Coast and its neighbor Ghana are considered a first line of defense against the spread of groups like Islamic State and Al-Qaeda from the northern Sahel states, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. US Secretary of State Blinken on Tuesday said that the United States is determined to remain a strong security partner for Nigeria, whose military is backed by the US, Britain and other allies in a long war against Islamist insurgents. Blinken also discussed challenges to democracy and security in the region during his meeting on Tuesday with Nigerian President Bola Tinubu in a visit that comes after last year's coup in the neighboring Niger, one of a series of coups or attempted power grabs over the past few years in West and Central Africa.
On security, which we also discussed at some length, the United States is determined to be and remain a strong security partner for Nigeria. I want to extend the condolences of the American people to all Nigerians who were affected by the horrific attacks over the Christmas weekend. We mourn their loss and all killed in recent attacks, including, by the way, staff from our United States mission, locally employed staff and 4 police officers who were killed in Anambra last May. As I told the President and the Foreign Minister, the United States will support Nigeria as it works to bring about a more secure, a more peaceful and a more prosperous future for its people.
Thailand's Constitutional Court on Wednesday ruled former prime ministerial candidate Peter Limjaroenrat was not guilty of violating election law and will retain his parliamentary seat. Peter, a senior figure with the progressive opposition, Move Forward, had been accused of breaking election law by owning shares in a media company while a candidate. Move Forward won last year's election but failed to form a government. Moldovan Foreign Minister Nico Popescu tendered his resignation on Wednesday after completing his key objectives related to bringing his country closer to the European Union. In a media briefing, Nico Popescu said he has completed all obligations to integrate Moldova into the EU, which were set by President Maia Sandu, and needed a pause. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. A gas explosion in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, resulted in at least 6 deaths and 11 injuries, including 3 firefighters. The truck carrying 60 tons of liquefied natural gas exploded, engulfing several buildings and causing a fire near the local market. Over 600 firefighters and 100 vehicles were involved in extinguishing efforts. Ellie Manning, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, has a yellow Labrador retriever named 10 in his honor. The dog was handed over to Guiding Eyes for the Blind's president and CEO Thomas A. Panic during the first ever guide dog draft in New York City. Manning, a board member of the non-profit organization, matched 150 guide dogs to people with vision loss in 2023. A 32-meter treehouse classroom in the Amazon rainforest is educating adults in remote indigenous communities about logging and mining. Funded by Udemy, it provides accommodation, solar power and satellite internet. The treehouse also serves as a tourist stop and learning hub for researchers and indigenous people. The project has led to a 55% decrease in deforestation in the 9 Amazon countries. Snoop Dogg and the comedy cast of The Underdogs premiered at Amazon Prime's premiere. The film follows former professional football star Jason "2 Jays" Jennings as he takes on coaching duties for a youth football team. Snoop Dogg, also known as Calvin Brodus, reflects on his experiences. The film is rated R, can be streamed on Amazon Prime on January 26th. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Indo-Russian talks on Eastern Maritime Corridor begins. Former Chief Minister of Indian state of Bihar, Karpuri Thakur, will be posthumously awarded Bharat Ratna, the highest civilian award of India. 24 January being celebrated as International Day of Education.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Our top stories. Amidst ongoing tensions on the Korean peninsula, North Korea fires multiple cruise missiles towards the sea off its west coast. In Australian Open, Daniil Medvedev and Diana Yastremska booked semi-final spots. Oscars 2024 nominations announced. Oppenheimer leads with 13 nods. India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, is holding talks with 78th President of General Assembly of United Nations, Dennis Francis, in national capital today. He will also call on India's President, Draupadi Murmu. A wreath-laying ceremony will also take place at 2611 Memorial in India's financial capital, Mumbai, on Thursday. Earlier, Francis visited Mahatma Gandhi's memorial place, Rajghat, to pay his tributes. Renewable energy firm SAIL on Tuesday said it has secured $1 billion funds from various financial institutions. The investment will be used to expand the company's solar and biomass projects, capitalizing on conducive market potential and government schemes in the renewable energy sector. Here's more.
Sustainable and Affordable Energy for Life, SAIL, announced the successful forging of partnerships and securing capital raise totaling up to $1 billion at an event in New Delhi. The event was witnessed by the Ambassador of Norway, Deputy Chief of Mission, United States of America, and other dignitaries.
This investment will fund the development of new solar and waste-to-energy assets, increasing India's renewable energy capacity, curbing emissions, mitigating air pollution, and increasing rural income opportunities.
Major players like Norfund, DFC, ADB, and Tata Cleantech joined hands, contributing to a capital raise that soared to an impressive $1 billion.
The fund is the Norwegian government's primary tool for accelerating the global energy transition. And India is indeed the most important market for the fund. SAIL is a great fit for the Climate Investment Fund, and the projects in your pipeline will make important contributions towards our ambition of avoiding 14 million tons of CO2 emissions annually.
Beyond this groundbreaking partnership, SAIL envisions a future marked by substantial growth and impact. The company aims to achieve an annual execution of 2 to 2.5 gigawatts in renewable capacity, setting sights on an ambitious 10 gigawatt target within the next 4 years. Tapas Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
India's Shipping Minister Sarbananda Sonowal inaugurated India-Russia workshop on Eastern Maritime Corridor in southern city of Chennai today. The corridor is going to be an important point of link. The proposed corridor will reduce the transit time by 40% than the Western Sea route, from where the majority of trade between India and Russia is executed. The Western Sea route connects west coast of India and St. Petersburg via Suez Canal and the Baltic Sea. And also the Eastern Maritime Corridor will not only reduce the freight charges, but also bring the nations together. Moving on, we talk about the preparations ahead of the Republic Day. The French Legion contingent march on Kartavya Path in New Delhi on Republic Day. French President is going to be the special guest in this edition of the Republic Day, mark his presence as the chief guest at the Republic Day celebrations. Moving on, former Chief Minister of Indian state of Bihar, Karpuri Thakur, will be posthumously awarded the Bharat Ratna Award. The Bharat Ratna is the highest civilian award of India. Thakur served as the Chief Minister of the state twice from 1970 to 71 and later in 1977 to 79. He passed away on February 17, 1988. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a post on X, mentioned about Thakur's unwavering commitment to uplift the downtrodden and his visionary leadership that have left indelible mark on India's socio-political fabric. The doors of Ram Temple in Indian holy city of Ayodhya were thrown open to the general public from Tuesday after consecration ceremony was performed on January 22nd. On day 2, enthusiasm among the devotees remained high as a large number of them visited the temple on Wednesday. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath monitored the proceedings. Administration is closely keeping an eye on the arrangements to ensure smooth experience for the devotees. January 24 is celebrated as International Day of Education. Education is UNESCO's top priority because it is a basic human right and foundation for peace and sustainable development. DD India correspondent Kriti Vadera gets us more.
Education is a human right, a powerful driver of development and one of the strongest instruments for reducing poverty, gender equality, peace and stability. The new Education Policy 2020 aims at more dynamic and responsive education system.
the new National Education Policy 2020 and now the NCFSE 23 that has come in is one of the most promising visions that have ever come into the education. Gone are the days when you would tell the children that this is the syllabus, study this, these are the questions which will be asked, and this is how you have to answer. Today, the canvas of the child has expanded. He can creatively think and answer what he wants to. And the children are brighter than us. The child has become very important. The teacher has taken a back seat because these children are born with the technology. They are the natives of technology. We are the migrants. But they are the natives of technology and they know how to leverage and how to use the technology.
India is appearing as a global leader in ICT. Educational technology plays an important role in the improvement of educational processes and outcomes. Young minds are growing confidence while using digital gadgets in classrooms.
I like to come to digital literacy class. I love to play with iPads and digital literacy class is good.
Educators find it convenient to integrate digital devices into the teaching and learning process.
The integration of technology helps us to create an aha moment in our class. It's a kind of joyful learning. The students learn a lot because once they do the thing, it is learning by doing when we come to the technology. And as people are born in the technology era, they are born with iPads.
It is more interactive for the kids. Like with the display, with the digital display, they are very much engaged with the subject and the content.
NEP 2020 is a comprehensive framework and outlining of India's vision and approach to education reform. Comprehensive approach of New Education Policy 2020 has revamped the education system in India, emphasizing flexibility, creativity, and giving it a holistic approach towards learning. With camera person Rajesh Kumar, I am Kruti Vadhera, reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
Ray Dalio, founder of world's largest hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates, lauded India's growing market at Davos World Economic Forum 2024. In a statement, he said, India's market looked expensive and is at a very special moment for numerous reasons. Hailing India's progressive cycle, he said he is very optimistic about the markets. He said India is not burdened by an excessive amount of debt and it is now at the takeoff point. Furthermore, he lists out some of India's key growth areas such as healthcare, insurance, education, infrastructure, technology and environment. He also said he hoped to be in India in late March and that if he gets to meet Prime Minister Modi, he'll ask him to open the Indian capital markets to other investors. The Indian toy industry witnessed remarkable growth in financial year 2022-23 in comparison to financial year 2014-15, with decline in imports by 52% and rise in exports by 239%. The report, Success Story of Made in India Toys by Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow and India's Commerce Ministry, highlighted that in a span of 6 years, the number of manufacturing units have doubled, reducing imports from 33% to 12%, with an overall rise in labour productivity. The report also states that government efforts have enabled the creation of a more conducive manufacturing ecosystem for the Indian toy industry. It emphasized that the country is emerging as a top exporting nation due to India's integration into the global toy value chain. Let's take a look at some other stories making news. Every year on January 24th, India observes National Girl Child Day, a day dedicated to the girl child. The day was initiated by country's Ministry of Women and Child Development in 2008. Since then, every year, the day has been celebrated across the country. Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme was launched on 22nd January 2015 by Prime Minister Modi. It aims to address the issue of declining child sex ratio. In a moment of cultural unity and historical importance, India commemorates the 74th anniversary of adopting Jana Gana Mana as the national anthem of the nation. Originally composed in Bengali by esteemed poet and Nobel Prize winner Rabindranath Tagore, The first stanza of his Parato Bhagyo Bidhata received its Hindi adaptation and official recognition by the Constituent Assembly on January 24, 1950. Indian state of Uttar Pradesh commemorates its 75th Foundation Day, known as UP Divas, with grand celebrations on Wednesday. The state's culture department has meticulously prepared a series of programs scheduled for the momentous occasion. The tradition of observing Uttar Pradesh Divas on the state's Foundation Day was introduced by former Governor Ram Naik, marking a noteworthy cultural milestone. In a recent update from Indian Union Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav on Wednesday, the Namibian cheetah Jwala, residing in Madhya Pradesh's Kuno National Park, has welcomed 4 cubs instead of initially reported 3. As frontline wildlife warriors approached Jwala, they discovered additional cub, marking an exciting development in the park's wildlife conservation efforts. Time for a short break. Still to come on DD India News Hour. West Indian state of Maharashtra leads the medals tally at the 6th Khelo India Youth Games. In Australian Open, Daniil Medvedev, Diana Yastremska booked semi-final spots. Oppenheimer leads Oscars nominations with 13 nods.
Prepare your heart for a roller coaster ride called Madhya Pradesh.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. In some national stories, Indian government's outreach program, Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, is seeing popular engagement amongst masses across India. Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra has now reached India's Rajasthan. People participated enthusiastically in the camp organized by Hanumangarh district of Rajasthan. People who are benefiting from the welfare schemes expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Also, Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being conducted in various parts of Mizoram. The events were held in Boarpui, Lunglei district and Songrasuri. Also, Borpan Suri in Langthai district. Additionally, Dampui, Minbang and Rinangmuna hosted activities today. Various departments explained the central government's initiatives and benefits for the people, particularly in areas of agriculture, financial inclusion and health sector. Schemes in agriculture department include Pradhan Mantri Kisan Man Dhan Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, while health and family welfare covered Ayushman Bharat benefits, PM Jan Arogya Yojana, PM Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, among others. The 7th edition of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Pariksha Pe Charcha 2024 will be held on 29th of this month. Record number of over 22.6 million students have registered to participate in this edition. Pariksha Pe Charcha is part of the larger movement Exam Warriors led by Prime Minister Modi to create a stress-free environment for youngsters. On to some business stories now. Asian markets opened on a cautious note and traded lower on Wednesday in the wake of mixed trends on the Wall Street. Overnight, and as investors gauged key economic data from Japan, Japan's Nikkei 225 fell 0.26%, while Topix declined 0.15%. South Korea's Kospi dropped 0.43% and Kosdaq dipped 1.35%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index futures, however, indicated a stronger opening. All eyes on Indian indices, which slipped significantly yesterday, though it opened on a positive note. Both Nifty and Sensex were choppy in the early trade on Wednesday, alternating between red and green. Nifty 50 and BSE Sensex both slipped over 1% each to end at 21,238.80 points and 70,370.55 at Tuesday's closing bells. German train drivers began the longest strike in the nation's modern history that will last until Monday, affecting both freight and passenger transport services in the country. The strike is the latest in series of walkouts over working hours, conditions and pay. Industry experts have estimated that the strike will cost Europe's biggest economy up to $110 million per day, warned of the reputational damage to German business. The GDL trade union, which includes train drivers and other rail workers, have said that it was forced into a strike after bosses at the national rail operator tried to trick the workers over demands for improved pay and conditions. The Bank of Japan has decided not to take any action at its first policy meeting of the year, as was widely expected, but the market is now paying attention to a more positive tone on the wage and inflation outlook, as well as an upgrade to the financial year 2024 inflation outlook, which lays the groundwork for policy normalization. We'll see a slightly higher chance of a first hike taking place in June than in April. Meanwhile, speculation persists about if and when Bank of Japan will adjust its monetary policy the next time. Inflation-wary Cubans are gearing up for a new wave of inflation after government last week rolled out details of an austerity plan that economists say will touch nearly every facet of Cuba's already struggling economy. Prime Minister Manuel Madero claims that the actions, which include raising taxes as well as cutting subsidies, will stem a spiraling budget deficit that is expected to surpass 18% of GDP and pave the way for growth. Government officials have announced wholesale fuel prices will double next month. Freight transportation will jump between 40 to 60% in March. eBay will cut about 1,000 jobs, accounting for 9% of its current workforce. The e-commerce retailer informed on Tuesday In a letter shared with employees, eBay CEO Jamie Anon said that the company's headcount expenses have exceeded the growth. The job cuts follow a wave of US tech layoffs after industry hired heavily during the pandemic. A man paddled through a heavily flooded street in Santiago, capturing heaviest rainfall ever recorded in January. The city experienced half an inch of rain per hour, with firefighters and lifeguards working to rescue dozens of people from flash floods. Santiago's mayor declared a state of emergency, urging residents to stay at home and avoid traveling on flooded roads. Some vehicles were partially submerged in the residential areas. On to some more weather updates. Australians in Queensland state are preparing for a tropical low to develop into tropical cyclone Kirili, with authorities downgrading the weather system to a Category 2 from a Category 3. Townsville and Mackay residents are pilling sandbags to protect their properties from flood damage, while Brisbane residents are warned of heavy rains drenching regions, increasing the risk of flash flooding. Cyclone Jasper caused destruction in Queensland northern regions last year in December. You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for all the action from the world of sports. Indian women's team will face Poland in the inaugural edition of the FIH Hockey 5H Women's World Cup in Muscat, capital of Oman. The Indian team is led by experienced goalkeeper Rajni Etimarpu, while defender Mahima Chaudhary is vice-captain. Indian women's team is included in the Pool C alongside United States of America, Poland and Namibia. The Netherlands, Malaysia, Fiji and host Oman are in Pool A, while Australia, South Africa, Ukraine, Zambia form Pool B. Group D comprises New Zealand, Uruguay, Thailand and Paraguay. World Cup will take place from 24th to 27th of January. The top two teams from each group will play the quarterfinals scheduled for 26th of January, with the semi-finals scheduled the same day, while finals will be played on 27th of this month. Indian men's hockey team will take on France in the four-nation tournament in Cape Town, city of South Africa, on Wednesday. The week-long tournament features France, Netherlands, India and hosts South Africa. In the earlier match, India thrashed France 4-0 as Harmanpreet Singh scored a brace. Lalit Upadhyay and vice-captain Hardik Singh also scored one goal each. India will play the host South Africa on 26th of January and finish the tour with a match against Netherlands on 28th of January. India's western state of Maharashtra leads the medals tally at the 6th Khelo India Youth Games, closely followed by Tamil Nadu, while Haryana and Delhi are at third place. Maharashtra has bagged 14 gold, 15 silver and 16 bronze. The Games have witnessed participation of over 5,600 young athletes across 26 sports that include archery, athletics and badminton. It will culminate on 31st of January 2024. India's southern state of Tamil Nadu is hosting the Games. Mayappan, who hails from Tamil Nadu, seeks inspiration from Saurav Ghoshal. The player is elated to participate in Khelo India as squash makes its debut at the flagship event.
What do you think about Khelo India Youth Games and squash being included as an important sport to this edition of Khelo India?
I think it is, first of all, I'm happy to play the finals. First time squash is there in Khelo India. It is a great platform for all of us because LA 2028 squash is there in this. Khelo India is a basic platform for all the players to go on Olympics.
Why Khelo India is so important for the athletes?
It is the biggest event in the nation. Yeah, that's why a lot of players from all over the state comes to play. Yeah.
And apart from this, Khelo India also gives you a lot of media exposure on digital media. Many people are getting to know about many of the sports. Does that help and motivate you?
Yeah. Before 3-4 years, nobody knows what is squash, but nowadays everybody came to know that this is squash. Yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah.
When Prime Minister Narendra Modi came on the inauguration of 6th edition of Khelo India Youth Games, he mentioned few prominent players of squash like Joshna Chinnappa. Does that motivate you that Prime Minister, Union Minister and the central government is paying so much attention for promoting sports?
Yeah, nowadays government is also helping a lot in sports. They also mentioned some Indian athletes, squash athletes. Saurav Ghoshal is a great inspiration for me. I met him twice. He shared many things to me. It was good.
And also when we talk about the benefits that you will get from here, from this particular platform, because squash is happening for the first time. So you will also witness the benefits of it in the coming days. How important and helpful they would become for you?
It is very important for not only for squash, for all the athletes. It is very important because it is the great event. For first time it is happening in junior level.
What is your next big game?
Next big game, this year I have to play World Juniors for India.
All right, we wish you all the very best, Mariyappan, for that. So there you heard Mariyappan from Tamil Nadu, who is into the finals, and he's really hopeful that squash is going to give a long-term benefit to all the players. With camera person Senthil, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Chennai.
And Punjab's Pranjali is participating in Khelo India Youth Games with an aim to transform her shooting skills. The shooter spoke to DD India correspondent Deepika Mato, talks about women empowerment that has transformed players over the years.
You had your practice sessions. How were they?
Very great. I have been practicing for this event so far. It's been 2 months. I have been practicing too much. Yeah.
Is this your first edition of Khelo India Youth Games?
Yes. This game means me a lot.
Why?
Khelo India, it's a motivating platform. It's a very great platform. So it's a very big opportunity for me to be here.
So when we talk about the infrastructure that is being provided to you by the central government here, what do you think of it?
The infrastructure is very similar to those which are being played in international. Yeah, it's very great event that they have done so far.
Experienced players are also there, as well as fresh new players are also there. Do you get to learn from them?
Yeah, a lot. The players which are the top players only from national, they are selected here. So it's a great opportunity for them also.
Seeing your child play at a national level, how does that make you feel?
She is a international shooter actually. She well played at Korea also, and I am very much proud of you, proud of my daughter. Yeah.
And also when we talk about the kind of women empowerment that the government is focusing on, when we talk about women participation, have you seen any difference in the past years, and have you seen an increase in participation of women in the past years?
They are all giving opportunities to the female candidates also, and it's very good for our empowerment and every growth of our field.
Indeed. So there you heard from Pranjali's mother, who says that the government is giving a huge and an important platform to women participants as well. That makes it even more important for all the athletes, and especially the women athletes who are participating over here. With camera person Senthil, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Chennai.
Indian tennis veteran Rohan Bopanna and his Australian partner Matthew Ebden stormed into the semi-finals of the men's doubles at the Australian Open. The duo breezed past the six-seeded Argentine duo of Maximo Gonzalez and Andres Molteni in the quarterfinals to secure 6-4, 7-6 win. Bopanna and Ebden, seeded second in the draw, displayed remarkable resilience to seal the victory in 2 sets. 43-year-old Bopanna is set to become the oldest world number 1 in men's doubles when the rankings are updated. The result takes Bopanna past America's Austin Kalchek, the current world number 1 in ATP rankings. In Australian Open, Italy's Jannik Sinner set up a mouth-watering semi-final against Novak Djokovic as he fought off Andrei Rublev in the late-night duel. The fourth seed showed patience and resilience to claim 6-4, 7-6, 6-3 win against the Russian, who now owns the ugly record of 10 defeats out of 10 in Grand Slam quarterfinals. Fifth seed Rublev threw the kitchen sink at his opponent, but was left with the same old sinking feeling as he consistently failed to take his chances, especially when leading the second set tiebreak 5-1. Third seed Daniil Medvedev was forced to dig deep into his reserves to outlast Hubert Hurkacz 7-6, 2-6, 6-3, 5-7, 6-4 in the tightest of quarterfinals and reached the last 4 of the third time. Ninth seed opponent twice came from set down, made the Russian work hard for every single point. Meanwhile, second seed Carlos Alcaraz faces arguably the toughest test of his Australian Open campaign when he faces Germany's Alexander Zverev in the quarterfinals. The match promises to be a fascinating clash of styles. Alcaraz has faced Zverev 7 times before, with the German baseliner prevailing on 4 occasions. Aryna Sabalenka overpowered Barbora Krejcikova 6-2, 6-3 in the quarterfinals to keep the Australian Open title defence firmly on course. She has now set up a showdown with US Open champion Coco Gauff in the semi-finals. The meeting between Sabalenka and Gauff would go a long way to decide who takes home the trophy. Diana Yastremska beat Czech Linda Noskova 6-3, 6-4 to book a semi-final spot at the Australian Open, becoming the first qualifier to reach the last 4 since 1978. Ukraine's powerful forehand eventually overcame the 19-year-old Czech, who was the youngest player left in the women's draw. China's Zhang Qinwen meets Russia's Anna Kalinskaya in the first match of the evening session, with the first ever trip to a major semi-final. The reward on offer for both players. India's Satvik Sairaj Ranika Reddy, Chirag Shetty reclaimed the top spot in the Badminton World Federation men's doubles ranking. Asian Games champions reached the world #1 ranking for a second successive runners-up finishes in the Malaysia's Open Super 1000 and India Open Super 750 badminton tournaments. The Indian duo had achieved its numero uno status for the first time after claiming the historic gold medal at the 2022 Asian Games in Hangzhou last year. Among other Indians, HS Pranoy moved a place to reach world #8, while Lakshya Sen, Kidambi Srikanth and Priyanshu Rajawat stayed at 19th, 25th and 30th spots, respectively. From sports to cinema, movie nominations for the Oscars are out, with the biographical atomic bomb thriller Oppenheimer sweeping categories, securing 13 nominations. The films Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon and Barbie have also done well in nominations. Caroline Malone gives us more as far as the rundown of the topics are concerned.
Well, there was the cultural phenomenon of Barbenheimer last year, created with the release of the blockbuster movies Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day. But it's the latter, the biographical thriller about the father of the atomic bomb, that has swept Oscar nominations that include Best Movie and Best Director for Christopher Nolan. In the Best Actor category, Cillian Murphy plays the lead. He's also nominated. That category also includes 2 black actors, Coleman Domingo for Rustin and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction, among other actors. Well, Barbie also got a Best Movie nomination, but the lead actress Margot Robbie actually missed out on a Best Actress nomination. Instead, there was recognition for Emma Stone from Poor Things and from Killers of the Flower Moon, a Western film that's directed by Martin Scorsese. Lily Gladstone actually becomes the first actor of Native American ancestry to be nominated, as well as Annette Bening. She's been nominated many times but not won before. She's been recognised for Naiad, the epic story of a long-distance swimmer. Well, the Best Movie is normally won at the Oscars by a classic drama, but this category was actually expanded in 2021 and now includes 10 titles. This year, we also have Anatomy of a Fall, which is a French legal drama thriller, and Past Lives, a touching story of school friends who lose touch when one of them moves from South Korea to the US. There's also Maestro, about conductor Leonard Bernstein, who got a number of nominations. It's one of those films that was distributed on Netflix and shows an increasing presence on streaming platforms for people to see movies rather than in the theatres. Well, the actual Oscars ceremony takes place on March the 10th, with late-night comedian Jimmy Kimmel hosting. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.